Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the rut of competency, also known as the hammock of competency. And I think it'll pertain a lot to studying English. So let's get started. Now, the reason I wanted to discuss this is because the rut of competency was first raised by Russ Roberts. And it's the idea that as a professional, you become so comfortable. You're in a zone of competency in your work, and you stop seeking new challenges or new growth. But this can also make you stop seeking new experiences. And then you get into this loop of doing what you are good at without pushing yourself past the boundaries into new things. How does this pertain to English learning? Well, definitely as intermediate and advanced speakers speak almost fluently, they stop trying to push themselves into new levels of uncomfortable zones. So, advanced language learners are in this hammock of competency. They stop seeking new challenges or new ways to grow. I first heard about this concept by David Epstein. Now, David Epstein, he works for the New York Times. He's a journalist, and he was talking about the 10,000 hour rule. Have you heard about this? People say that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something. 10,000 hours of studying a language, 10,000 hours of playing basketball, of golf, of coding. And by the end of these 10,000 hours, you should become a master in that subject. But it's not true. So I'm going to share with you the link below to that episode. It's from The Diary of a CEO, and it has David Epstein in it. Now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this on YouTube, but I want to share with you the excerpt from their talk about the hammock of competency, because he could explain it much better than I can.
What are the first things that spring to mind when I start speaking about productivity with a very focused task?
I mean, I think a challenge for you is going to be that this podcast has gotten so big and you've gotten so competent at it that you're going to be in what a rut of competence, or what economist Russ Roberts told me, a hammock of competence. You're in an area where you're so comfortable and so successful that getting better is going to be harder because there's disincentive from changing anything that you're doing, right? Then you have to take some risk. I mean, you know that. You're an entrepreneur. If you're going to want to get better, you're going to have to take some risk. I think that's going to be a difficult thing to do because, there are people in this room that depend on you. Risk for you is risk for them too. And so I think you have to start thinking about what would be some smart risks if you want to innovate with the podcast. What might that look like? And finding ways to run small experiments. I'm a huge fan of low stakes practice, right? How can you set up some low stakes practice for what might be a worthwhile larger experiment?
So now if we apply this concept of hammock of competency to language learning, we can see that people tend to plateau their language once they reach that intermediate or advanced level. We're thinking like level B2. B2 would be intermediate to advanced. And it's really challenging for them to then proceed into fluent or near native speaking language. And that's because everyone around you understands you. Nobody corrects you in your daily life. And so you're just comfortably speaking language or English, but perhaps you're not feeling fluent or as fluent as you want to be. So, how do we get out of the hammock of competency? Well, I could suggest a few different ways. The first thing that you should be doing is push your personal boundaries. If you are currently studying English 1 hour per week, or you studied last year and now you're fluent, or you studied 5, 10 years ago and you feel more fluent now, what you need to do is push your current boundaries. Step outside your comfort zone of language. Travel to a country that is all English speaking. Go to English clubs, because right now you might be in the bubble of comfort. Also, what you can do is ask for feedback. Join English clubs and ask for feedback from English speakers. You might be surprised that maybe you're still making a lot of mistakes, but people don't care, and that's okay. People don't care to correct you. As a native English speaker, I will say that almost all English learners continue to make mistakes, but we don't usually care because the main goal is that your message is understood. But for some people, that's not enough, and you want to seek perfection. I get it. That's okay. So if you're trying to be English level or fluent English level, then you need to seek feedback, and we can help with that. What I also suggest is that you explore a lot of topics. So, actually, what we do is we look at English for specific purposes, and that helps people move from intermediate to advanced English. Looking at specific language for your industry and how to communicate fluently in your industry, in your field. However, if you want to move past advanced into native English fluency, you do need to be proficient in all topics, in a wide range of topics. So, what that means is read articles, watch movies, listen to podcasts for a variety of subjects: arts, science, math, medical, psychology, economics, sports. A little bit of studying in all of these areas will make a big difference. And finally, take risks. Take risk with your language. Be comfortable with making mistakes. Ask for feedback when you are making mistakes. Do interesting things in English, like go to an English sports center or have an English friend online that you call occasionally. Take risks. That's how you're going to get out of the hammock of competency and move into a new level of fluency. Now, these are just my thoughts about the hammock of competency and how to reach an advanced level of English speaking. But if you want more help or you're interested in this topic, check the links down below. Thanks for listening, guys. See ya.